Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
What's up, you mutts? There we are, finally live. An emergency episode of the Kevin Clancy Show here on a Monday morning because there's just too many takes to get off right now, and a couple hundred characters ain't enough on Twitter. So let's get into it. I'm going to open up the lines right away. 888-STOOL-22 is the phone number. We're obviously talking about Chris Rock and Will Smith, the slap heard round the world. I was this close to going to bed, man. I was this close to just calling it a night, wrapping it up, going to sleep, and I would have missed the event of the fucking decade so far. I spent the rest of the next couple hours banging out 1 minute mans and sifting through all these takes. And on the one hand, I love it because as a blogger who's been around for 15 years, something new and wild like this is fucking music to my ears because now we can finally talk about some shit that we haven't talked about before. After like 10 years, it's just the same sort of shit over and over and over again. Now we at least get a new story and new characters to talk about. On the other hand, shit like this inspires the worst of takes. I mean, let me tell you something right now. We have one Judd Apatow in studio at 3 p.m. for the Kevin Clancy Show. You want to talk about some of the takes that were flying off last night in the heat of the moment. Judd Apatow said Will Smith could have killed him. He said Will Smith could have killed Chris Rock with that violence. So there are some takes out there that I just can't even fathom right now. The alopecia crowd is out and about, loud and proud. All of a sudden, alopecia is like stage 4 cancer. We're talking about Jada Pinkett having alopecia like she's going to drop dead tomorrow. Like Will Smith needed to go up there and defend her honor. Listen, okay, I'm getting all ahead of myself. So let's break it down, slow down, and get into it. Will Smith walks up there, slaps Chris Rock after he makes the G.I. Jane 2 joke. A G.I. Jane joke to someone with a shaved head is about as like casual, hacky, whatever throwaway joke as you'll ever hear. It's as basic as it gets. Like, you have a shaved head, I call you G.I. Jane. That's just like the way comedy fucking works from a stand-up comedian kind of doing almost like a little crowd work in the moment. Like, that's nothing, dude. So Will Smith walks up there. He himself laughed at that joke too. They have it on camera. He does his Will Smith and then as soon as he sees Jada's face, he's like, "Oh fuck." And that's like every single guy has been in that spot when your girl is drunk at the bar and picks a fight and you got to fucking stand up for it because you can't let her just flounder all alone. She bumps into a dude or there's some drama with some guy at the bar and then you're the one who has to deal with it. It's that times a billion. And I don't know what goes on with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, but they've got the most unhealthy fucking relationship in the goddamn world. Anybody who's been in a toxic relationship can take one look at those two and be like, yeah, no, this is some fucked up shit. Yeah, you're in an open marriage, you're swingers, you're both like free to do whatever you want, except it only seems like Jada Pinkett is just busy banging her son's friends and being public about it while Will Smith like suffers in silence. I know what Will Smith did was out of line and completely inappropriate, but in the grand scheme of things, I actually feel bad for the dude because he's very clearly trapped in a marriage that he fucking hates. He's been like an emotional wreck for the past couple years while the internet clowns him because his wife is busy fucking everybody but him. And that's what's so crazy about this thing is that this was Will Smith's line. This is where he draws a line. G.I. Jane 2 joke about my wife who shaved her head? After the internet has been making an absolute mockery of me and my entire marriage for years now because she's fucking R&B singers and guys half her age and people who are friends with her son. That's all fine. That's all fair game. But the minute that Chris Rock says something about G.I. Jane, I'm going to go, with the most out-of-pocket, inappropriate behavior of all time. Fucking crazy. And what's really wild about it is if I were to like play this out in my head, if you told me that something like this happened, I would have thought that Will Smith would have been the dude who would have been super smooth, super cool, super calm about it. Like, he would have won the award, And then up there during his speech, he would have had like a mic drop moment where he clowns Chris Rock, defends his wife, and everybody was like, ooh, like, well done. That guy's smooth. That guy's funny. Like, in the moment, he handled it right. He defended her, clowned him. That was perfect. He's never been that dude. So I don't know what. I mean, I guess if I had to guess, it would be that he's fucking trapped in this horrific marriage. And we went through those Scientology years, and now Jada Pinkett and her goddamn red table are fucking ruining his life. So that's probably what leads to some crazy ass behavior. Now, what I can't believe, it's the most paradoxical thing we've ever seen in like entertainment. And actually, I wanted to talk in a little bit. We'll take your calls. I also want to rank the craziest live moments of television ever, because I think this is way up there on the list. On the one hand, it is the biggest bitch move I've ever seen in my life. To be that guy who, like, his wife is mad and he's like, well, I got to do something about this, so let me go ruin the whole fucking show, slap a guy that I think he's, like, relatively cool with. I know people said that back in 2016, Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett kind of had words, but for the most part, I think you would imagine Will Smith, Chris Rock, like, you've never heard of any feud or anything. So, on the one hand, like, a comedian cracks a mild joke about your wife, and you go up there and completely wild out. To me, that is just like you're a child. Like, you're a little bitch about that. But the fact that A, he won Best Picture like 10 minutes later, or Best Actor 10 minutes later, and B, the fact that nobody touched him. No security, no ushers, no nothing. The fact that not only was he not kicked out, not only was he just allowed to still continue the show, he still fucking won the award. That is like the most gangster thing ever. The fact that Will Smith is on that level is fucking bananas. So in one breath, I'm like, dude, you are such a loser. Like, that is the biggest loser move. Could you imagine if you're at a bar, you're at a party, you're at an event, and one of your friends, like, walks up to some dude who's, like, hosting the event and fucking smacks him in the face? And you're like, what are you doing, man? He's like, well, you made a joke about my girl. It's like, all right, you dumb fucking caveman. Why don't you have some class? Have some tact about it, you loser. That is such an insecure, macho bullshit move. I would be like, you are the biggest fucking loser in this party. And by the way, I don't think many girls want it either. I would love to take a poll of chicks, like how many girls want their man to do that. I'm guaranteeing the majority of regular women have no fucking desire to have that happen. The people who are like, oh, he defended me, like, what is this, fucking, like, medieval times? We're gonna challenge to a duel? We want to have a joust? A battle to the death because someone dishonored milady? Get the fuck out of here. What are we talking about? This is some child-ass middle school bullshit behavior. But it is some made man shit where it's like, I can walk up to you on stage, on television, biggest night of the year in my industry, slap you in your fucking mouth, berate you, and nobody says a word to me. Nobody touches me. As a matter of fact, 2 minutes later, they honor me. That is some, like, mob boss shit. Some Tony Soprano shit. Like, I'll slap you in your fucking mouth, and then they'll honor me. So, I don't know where to put it. I mean, it's up there on the list on both sides of it, which is why that's what makes it so compelling to me, is there's really is two sides to it. So I can see, I don't agree with it, but I can at least understand where you're coming from, where it's like, he doesn't let anybody say shit about his family. And that brings me to his speech. He wins Best Actor, which is like, the world is scripted. Truman Show is happening all around us at all times. There is some puppet master pulling strings who is just out here using us for his entertainment, because how does he win after this moment? Mere 10 minutes earlier. So now we're all on the edge of our seat. And by the way, him winning, I saw King Richard. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I think he probably, as far as I know, did a good job of, like, being Richard Williams. None of us really know that. Like, when Jamie Foxx did Ray Charles, it was like, oh, we all know what Ray looks like and what his mannerisms are and everything, we know he nailed it. I don't, very few people really understand and know what Richard Williams was like, but it seems like he nailed it. I thought between the fucking Benedict Cumberbatch as a cowboy and Denzel doing Shakespeare, I thought there was a chance he wasn't going to get it because at the end of the day, this is just a movie about, sports figures. But anyway, he wins it. The Academy still gives it to him, which is kind of suspect, by the way. I could see a scenario where the Academy would be like, we were going to give it to you, but after you, disrespected our entire fucking show. But I'm sure deep down the Academy's fucking loving it. This is the best thing that's happened to them in years. The Oscars is a snooze every year. All we ever do with the Oscars is complain that there's too many white people, and then this year we were complaining that a president of a country who's currently at war was not going to get a telecast in the moment. Sean Penn out here threatening to throw his Oscar out because we're not going to get the president of Ukraine doing a comedy bit. The Oscars is a snooze every year. Is the best thing that's ever happened to it. But he wins, and we are all on the edge of our fucking seats waiting for this moment. And my God, does Will Smith blow it. There was so many different ways he could have gone there. He could have doubled down. What I expected from Will Smith was an apology and some funny self-deprecating jokes in the moment that really, he has his finger on the pulse of what's going on. Clearly he didn't. And clearly that makes sense because a guy who goes up there and does that does not have his wits about him. Clearly going through some shit. But to go up there and babble on and on about the actresses protecting the actresses who played Serena and Venus? What? And to talk about the devil and Jesus, all this shit, it was like, yo, nobody cares. I mean, no disrespect to everyone about King Richard and everybody who made that movie and shit. Nobody cares. We just want to hear about the slap. Just talk about that. And then to only apologize to the Academy and my other fellow nominees, make no mention of Chris Rock. There was a chance to do something epic, either double down and triple down and be a cocky asshole about it, be funny about it, have a man up and apologize in a really interesting and respectful and impressive way. None of it. Just went up there and fucking babbled for the most part. And he had it set up perfectly with, he said, Richard Williams was a man that fiercely defended his family. And it was kind of oh, perfect. He's going to tie this all in. And whether you agree or disagree with it, at least there's some sort of rhyme or reason to it. Nope. Just left that thread out there while he went back to the movie and was talking about the actresses and shit. So the aftermath, wild letdown. I mean, the fact that we knew it was possibly coming, and then he wins it, and then he's walking up there, and you see that he's got the bloodshot eyes, and he's been crying. It's we had a chance for some unbelievable, legendary Hollywood moment, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know. Can you quote me one thing that he said from that speech? The one thing, I saw Steph Curry quoting it, the devil comes for you when you're at your peak or whatever, I don't know, man.
I want to be a vessel for love.
Yes. Oh, and I want to be a vessel for love after literally committing assault in the moment. An interesting way to be a vessel of love, man. That and I'm at my peak. This is your rock bottom, man. This is the most embarrassing moment of your life, actually. Probably when the whole world finds out that your wife consistently bangs everybody other than you. That's what's so crazy. That's what's so nuts. This guy has every right to be mad and to be fucking violent and raging just at the wrong guy. And that's the other side of it, too. Chris Rock being the recipient. It makes it perfect for an entertainment point of view because it's Chris Rock and Will Smith. Two guys from the comedy and acting world that are both 50-something, both dominated, both heavy hitter, A-list names. In that regard, it's a fair fight. In a physical fight regard, I mean, Will Smith, I didn't realize how small Chris Rock is, I guess, or maybe how big Will Smith is. But, I think that's Will Smith taking advantage of a situation a little bit. Because if another dude's up there, I saw Megan Making Money tweeting saying, if The Rock makes that joke, is that happening? I don't think so. But I also don't see anybody other than a comic like Chris Rock making that joke because everyone's a fucking pussy. So I guess everybody decides where they fall on this one. Are you Team Rock or Team Will Smith? I think it's fucking crazy to be anything other than Team Chris Rock on this one. I thought, first of all, he ate it, dude. He took it. It wasn't a punch, so, like, the slap is obviously a lot more manageable. But, I mean, he takes that there's a still shot of his face, like, ooh, Will Smith's open hand following through. It is, like, the part of the reason I thought it was fake at first was it was so picturesque. It was so, like, it looked like an actor slap, like, you know, I'm going to... It was, and Will Smith, Chris Rock kind of rolls with the slap a little bit. Part of me was like, this was almost a performance fight, you know? He steps and does it. Pow! It's like, bam! And the way he walks off, all like, that's what kind of makes it a gangster moment. Where it was just like, you know, that's what I do. You talk about me and my family, I smack you in your fucking mouth. But I was like, this, you know, everyone's first reaction is this has to be a work. And then the slap almost leads you to believe a little more that it's fake. Because, like, if you're going to be that crazy, why wouldn't you punch him? And it does look like Chris Rock was, like, bracing for something. Like, he knew something was about to happen. But then when you heard him on the Japanese feed and the Australian feed be like, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, and you hear it echoing through the whole theater, it was like, oh, no, this is very, very much real. And I think Chris Rock handled it like an absolute pro. Like... I know some people were like, oh, he looks like a bitch too by not, like, fighting. You're talking about two, like, billionaires in their 50s. What do you want them to roll around on the stage like a cartoon scuffle? You want to have, like, a fucking boxing match right there? Like, no, we're talking about, like, high class, high society dudes who aren't going to, or at least one of them isn't going to stoop to that level. I think Chris Rock laughing about it, keeping his composure, like... It wasn't like he not only did he not fight back, but he wasn't even flustered as a presenter. Like, he wasn't like, oh, what the fuck, like looking at my producers and shit. He was just like, yo, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me, man. That was wild. And I guess when you're a pro on his level and you know, like, hey, I'm about to be a part of the greatest, like, viral moment of all time, you're probably happy about it. You're probably like, yes, let me capitalize on this shit. But, man, in the moment, to not have, like, to not run off stage, to not run after him, to not stumble and stammer over your words, I think he comes out looking absolutely amazing. Let's take a couple calls here. We'll ask the guys in the back what they're thinking. Let's start off. I press Air 2, right? Yeah, Air 2. Let's go to Kyle. What's up, Kyle?
Air 1, Kev.
What's up, bro? What's up, man? Kyle, go once.
Hey, awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, dude. So seriously, this morning has been a great Monday morning for this shit. I think Rock owned it. I think Will's a bitch. But my buddies are saying Rock needs to press charges. I think that would be the biggest bitch move of all time.
Of all
I'm
time.
trying to figure out why would it do that.
Dude, no. Anybody who says to press charges, that would be the biggest bitch move. I saw somebody saying there had to have been a police officer in there. Why wasn't he arrested? And that's where the takes go the other direction too far. Like, we're not going to arrest this dude. Chris Rock does not need to press charges. We're not going to turn this into a criminal event. It was a preposterous television moment. Someone absolutely acted ridiculously by the letter of the law. Yeah, sure, it's assault. But if that's me, any dude who has any, you know, I mean, the reason why we're here is because of, like, dumb macho bullshit, like, talk about my woman and I'll fucking hit you. And I don't condone that shit. I think that is just, like, immature and lame. But you got to have some, you know, you got to man up in some regard. And it's like, do you want to run to the police and tell on him and tell him what you did? No, you're not injured. You don't have any damages. Everybody's fine. To press charges is fucking wild. I guess he would, you know, yeah, of course he'd be within his rights. It was assault. You can't fucking punch people. You can't slap people in the face. But I think Chris Rock just being like, whatever. And then the icing on the cake on this whole thing is Puffy. Puff has just inserted himself into this whole thing. P. Diddy gets on stage afterwards. I don't think it was aired on the American broadcast. I'm not sure, but I saw a clip on the internet. It's up there, and he's like, it's all good. These guys are fine. They're going to get together at Beyonce's gold party. Every year Beyonce has a party, an after party for the Oscars. And we're gonna make peace. And then he told Page Six afterwards that he was like, I can confirm I got together with Will and Chris at the party, and they're all good. And it's like all of a sudden P. Diddy's playing fucking Jerry Springer. All of a sudden we got Maury Povich at the party, making sure everybody's peaceful. I don't know why it's Diddy. It is funny that it's guys that come from like two funny black comedians, actors, like same age, same generation, same circles, same everything. Like Denzel runs on stage, Tyler Perry runs on stage, and they're all kind of comforting Will Smith. It was kind of a wild scene. And I've seen some people make it a black and white thing. I've seen some people make it a money thing if he wasn't this successful or didn't have that much money. I don't know if it's a race thing. I don't know if it's a money thing, if it's just a fame thing. But I think if either one of those people were a different player, if it wasn't two guys, like I said, who are kind of on the same level, I think the reaction's wildly different. Like if the presenter is a nobody, or if the person running on stage is a nobody, there's fucking security, they're cutting the feed, like everything is different. But the fact that it was two guys on the same level, I feel like allows it to we all just kind of like, let's see how this plays out. I do kind of feel like, I guess the Academy is like, fuck it, but that has nothing to do with the acting. And the actor, the best acting performance we think was King Richard, so here it goes. But like, just for someone to just shit all over your fucking president, your a show like that, and then be like, yep, here's your reward, and here's your moment, in the sun for you to like take the mic and have your moment. It's kind of like, I don't know. We are rewarding the worst kind of behavior here. Let's go to Tony. What's up, Tony? Tony.
Yo.
What's up, bro?
Yo, hello.
What's going on?
I just think that Will Smith is the biggest bitch in the entire world at this point, dude.
Yeah. It's for how old are you, Tony?
Some sort of hold over him. I'm 26.
Yeah, so you're a little bit younger, but for the most part, like if you're my age or around it, and I guess for guys like your age too, I mean, Will Smith was that fucking dude. He was the man.
Like I've seen Independence Day, all Fresh Prince. I've seen
Fresh Prince was
my
fucking
entire life.
Yeah, and then he marries Jada, and then they kind of did their Scientology thing for a minute, and that was weird. I don't think they went like full Scientologists, but they're definitely strange. And then they come out with this open marriage thing, but it seems like it's really only open for her. And then Will Smith puts out his book saying, I puked every time I fucked these girls. I didn't want them. And there's all these stories about how he felt inferior to Tupac. And it's just like, bro, get away from this chick. Get away, man. Like, I know she's the mother of your children and shit, but it does not seem like, and this is, I hate when people do this because this happened to me personally, when people think they know shit about your relationship and they're talking about what they see in the news. But, it just seems like thing after thing after thing adds up to like, do you really want to be around this woman? It seems like nothing.
When the entire world is telling you that this woman is toxic, at some point you got to be like, maybe she is toxic.
Right.
And you end up slapping Chris Rock on the biggest night for your entire industry because of her, and you're like, nah, that was the right thing to do. I'm a man,
dude. And not only the biggest night for your industry, his biggest moment. Like he wins Best Actor.
Yeah, ever.
And you know what people are gonna be talking about? That. Like when DiCaprio finally won his, it was like we remembered him winning. And when McConaughey won his, he got up on stage and he nailed the speech. And people remember like them for that Oscar moment. No one's gonna remember Will Smith for this shit. No one, it's only going to be the slap. And it's going to be like an afterthought that he finally won Best Actor. It's like, well, that, is that how you want that moment to go down?
Definitely. I mean, it's crazy. I think Jada is, like, I saw a meme that was going around where it was Jada whispering in his ear, I don't know, I think Tupac would have shot him.
Yeah, I saw, yeah. It said not impressed. I think Tupac would have shot him. Yep. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Tony. I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, that's the thing, man. You could be as big as humanly possible. Will Smith is arguably, you can probably only like tie him when it comes to success, when it comes to fame and money and likability and classic characters and all of that shit, right? And yet and still, when you get clowned by people, when people call you a cuck and they say that your wife, is the boss and you're the bitch and other people are making fun, other people are banging your wife and it turns out it's friends with your young son and all this shit, it's very strange. It's a fine line because I feel like I'm talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth here because on the one hand, I really don't subscribe to any of that macho masculinity bullshit. I certainly don't think you should ever fucking hit somebody. I don't think you should ever even be so offended by someone doing something to your significant. Like here's where I would do that. In what scenario is it okay? I would say if Chris Rock made some joke about, like if Jada Pinkett had like a miscarriage, okay? And he made some sort of joke about that. If you have like a sick child and it's a joke about that. If someone has a terminal disease and it's a joke about that. There are certain things, certain lines you, of course, cannot cross. And that, in those moments, I say it's game on. And I guess so that's where it's like, where do you draw the line? You can make fun of this, but you can't make fun of that. You can't do this, but you can't say that. What about this? What about that? And eventually you're going to blur a line where it's like, well, is this okay? Is this not okay? But I'll tell you what that line isn't. Alopecia. Okay? I'm watching people on Twitter now and all over social media carry the fucking fight against alopecia card now. The amount of people in my mentions being like, dude, didn't you know she has alopecia? I'm like, haven't you been around for Charlie Villanueva for the last 20 fucking years when we clown Charlie Villanueva for looking like a cue ball?
This is it reminds me of when Pete Davidson got called butthole
eyes
by Chaps, and it was like, oh, don't you know he has
Crohn's disease? Like,
yeah, it's like, okay.
So fucking what? Yeah, okay. Jada Pinkett has like male pattern baldness. Great. We made fun of Charlie Villanueva ruthlessly for like 20 years. Kevin Garnett called Charlie Villanueva a cancer patient to his fucking face. To his face. And then when asked about it afterwards, he said, nah, man, no, I just said that he was a cancer teammate. He was just a cancer to his team. No, dude. You said that he looks like he has cancer because he doesn't have eyebrows or eyelashes. Also, Jada Pinkett has had her head shaved for like a while now. I think she looks fine. She looks great. It's like a look she can pull off. And I guess she's been talking about it. And so the people very much in the know are going to understand that the hair condition is an issue. But, like, let's not act like this was some well-known, grand, thing that we've all talked about for years now is Jada Pinkett and her alopecia. Alopecia sucks. That's it. It's certainly not on the list of, like, things you can't talk about or you'll get fucking physically assaulted. It ain't on that level, folks. Not even fucking close. That is some generic, like crowd work. Like I said, a G.I. Jane head shave for a girl, that is just like a fucking 2 out of 10 joke that you just throw away and keep moving. It's certainly not, oh boy, I better be ready to throw hands. But like I was saying, I'm talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth because I don't subscribe to that masculinity bullshit. But on the other hand, when you start to get clowned like that, when people do talk about you and your marriage and they challenge your manhood and all that shit, even if you're pretty like new age and progressive and laid back like I am, like there are times when people question that shit and come at you personally and talk about your family, your wife, your ex-wife, your kids, your mother, whatever. You do, it does get to you. And not saying you get to walk up and slap somebody on a live event in front of millions of people, but you can understand, like, I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back in Will Smith's world. Months and months and years of, what at least appears to be a weird-ass toxic relationship. And months of the internet clowning you and making fun and talking about your weird family and the young dude who fucked your wife and how you're not Tupac and how she runs the show and you're crying on her show while she kind of just laughs and tells the story. All of it adds up to the point that you're finally like, fuck it. but it's not right to take it out on Chris Rock, and it's not right to blame it on alopecia, because there's a lot fucking more going on at that. Let's go to AJ, who's got a point that I think is a very important point of this whole thing. What's up, AJ?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good, man. What do you got for me?
So wanted to get your take exactly, because initially when they panned to Will Smith right after that joke, he's laughing.
Ding, 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 ding. Yup.
If he's whipped or if he's the cuck or whatever, did he look at Jada, see she was pissed? Okay, now it's time. I got to do something because I have to.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, again, we're talking about two people, thanks for the call, that you don't know exactly what happened. But as an outsider looking in, Will Smith is laughing. I actually, do you guys know the lead up? Because I wasn't watching live. My phone blew up like somebody fucking died. I was terrified that something bad happened. And then I turn it on. I'm watching all the clips on the internet, and I'm just hearing like the tail end of the G.I. Jane shit. Was he busting with them like for a while leading up to it? Do we know?
That was like 30 seconds into his speech, basically, into his presentation.
Got it.
Then he went from saying that Will Smith needs to win this Oscar, making fun of somebody else, and then he went straight into the G.I. Jane joke.
So he kind of was like laughing in general. Like, my point being, sometimes, somebody's making a couple jokes and you're laughing, and you're almost laughing at the first joke while he's telling the second joke, and you don't in real time realize what he was saying. So I don't know if Will Smith, it very much looked like he was laughing at the G.I. Jane joke, but I don't know. He might have just been kind of smiling and laughing, and it didn't quite register. But what it looks like on camera is that he's laughing, and you see Jada kind of go like, oh, that's not cool. And I think Will was laughing and then looked at her. And in most cases, I think it would be like, oh, he saw that his wife was hurt and, did what he felt he had to do. In this case, I feel like it was, oh, fuck, my wife is pissed. God damn it. This happens. It's like, I gotta do this whole fucking show because Jada's upset again, and that's what we have to do. And that's the shame of it. Like, if he was truly, genuinely that passionate about it, don't talk about my wife's haircut, then I guess, okay, man, everybody has different triggers and shit. But it feels more to me like, all right, I gotta go do this because, my pain-in-the-ass wife is making a fucking stink again. And that is the shame of it all. And that is, like, that's the worst, man. When you're at a bar and, it's like that guy, like, he said something to me, or that guy bumped into me. Like, what are you going to do about it? It's like, I'm not going to do a fucking thing about it because I'm a regular goddamn person who has a regular, like, level of understanding of, is this worthy of starting a physical altercation? Is this worthy of a confrontation that's going to ruin our night? Is this worthy of a confrontation that's going to need, like, security or bouncers or whatever? It's like, we're just going to ignore the fact that somebody was an asshole. Because, listen, if you're going to react every time that someone's an asshole to you or someone you know, you're going to spend your whole life fucking slapping people. You're going to spend your whole life fighting. You have to know when, there's very few instances when you can cross that line. And this was for sure not it.
Here's a screenshot of Will and Jada. Jada's rolling her eyes at the same time that Will is.
Look, you got Lupita in the background laughing. You got Will laughing. And Jada's like, ugh. And then he probably looks over at her and is like, fuck. If I don't do something now, she's going to go bang that R&B singer again. Fuck. There's just, it just, in relationships in general, you see so often where, it just leads. What are we doing? Why are we in relationships, man? Why would you put yourself in a position and behave this way where it's like, I now have to feel like I have to fight you or end a friendship or whatever because somebody said something about you and I am with you, but that means that I have to fight to defend you. It's all just such archaic bullshit. And at the end of the day, it's crazy. I mean, that's crazy person behavior. And I'm kind of like both sides because it's like there is an element of like, I'm untouchable, I can do what I want. But it's also like, yo, that is a fucking insane way to behave. Let's talk to Heather. What's up, girl? What's up, Heather? Heather.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello.
I can hear you.
Hi.
What do we got? What's up, Heather?
You are cracking me up over here with the alopecia stuff.
I mean, really, it's not like we're talking about a kid with cancer or something. It's a grown woman who unfortunately has to shave her head. And I think she looks great.
Well, She does. She's gorgeous. And Amy Schumer just admitted that she has a hair pulling problem. I don't see her chef husband walking up on stage and knocking Chris Rock out for a joke that's like remedial.
Yo, that's a weird thing, by the way. Amy Schumer and a couple other women in Hollywood said they have this compulsion where they pull hair out of their body. It's fucking that one. I feel worse for that than I do alopecia. Alopecia's like, all right, man, I don't know what to tell you. Your hair's falling out, so you need to get some fake eyelashes and get the microblade eyebrows and shave your head. But the people who are like feel that they need to pull their hair out, that's way worse.
Yeah, and every movie that she writes or produces or she directs, because she does that a lot. If it's in like I Feel Pretty, it's in Life and Beth. It's in like a lot of them, but I don't see her chef husband going up and like knocking people out.
No, because they're fucking like adults who, like I said, the perfect Will Smith reaction would have been in the moment, maybe you stop laughing and the camera catches you being like, shut the fuck up, dude. And then when you do win, you go up at the podium and you make some joke about how Chris Rock is too short. I don't know. I would have gone up there and slapped your little bitch ass, but, you're the same size as my kid, so fuck you. Whatever. You make some comment where it's like, all right, you get the last laugh.
It was definitely a sucker punch, and what I didn't understand either was that it looked like she was. You talked about a puppet master earlier. I totally believe that conspiracy theory. I'll go down the rabbit hole with that. But it's almost like when you did the screenshot and you saw her just sitting there rolling her eyes. It's almost as if he was afraid of what he didn't do versus him going up and realizing the ramifications of what would happen.
Listen,
of losing this Oscar and his reputation for hitting this guy.
I'm going to tell you, Heather, exactly what goes on in a guy's brain when you are in an incident like this. And obviously nobody can compare to at the Oscars, super famous people, mega famous comedian cracking on you. None of that we can understand. But there are times when you find yourself in some sort of altercation where you have to quickly weigh out the pros and the cons. And there are many times where it's like your wife is sometimes your wife or your girlfriend is in the wrong. And you know what? I won't this might just be relationships in general, men and women. I only know it obviously as the boyfriend or husband. So maybe it goes both ways.
Right.
But where you say to yourself, she is kind of in the wrong. This is not that big of a deal. I don't think that we should really do anything about this. But the alternative of me not saying anything and not stepping up is going to be hell for me for the next 6 months to a year. So I'll go up there and slap him and be the absolute lunatic. But what you people don't know is that if I don't do that, when we go home tonight, she's the one hitting me. And I'm in the doghouse for the rest of the fucking year because I didn't do anything, and I'll just take the fact. I'll accept you guys calling me a lunatic because the alternative is way worse. And that's the kind of shit that guys and probably girls have to go through sometimes when the person in the relationship is an emotional wreck about shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, in these entanglements that she's been in, it sounds like it's definitely for her, not for him, which is totally lopsided. That's not what an open relationship should even look like. It should be healthy, not toxic. I don't personally believe in them because that's just not how my mind is wired. My heart is wired.
Right, most of us aren't, yeah.
Let's just say that she already anger banged Chris Rock or one of his buddies, and we don't know this.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
He already did that, that's why he has an axe to grind with Chris Rock. And finally, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna bitch slap you for all the shit that you did with my wife years ago, you and your buddies. And if you're lucky that I didn't close my hand, because if I did, because he hit him hard, and if he had closed his hand, he'd be knocked out. He would.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he wasn't expecting it, and it was a sucker slap.
Right. And you bring up two good points, Heather. Thanks for the call. One is the entanglements. When you fuck some other dude, and then you have your husband on your show on the air, and you're just like, yeah, we had these little entanglements, and you give the internet like a viral phrase like that to fuck with. That's just. No. Situationships. We had a situationship and an entanglement. Like, no. You were banging a dude who was like 19 years old. And you said it right in front of your fucking husband's face live on your show. You're an asshole. Two, I'm not going to go ahead and subscribe to the fact that, like Heather said, that she thinks Chris Rock and all of his friends already fucked Jada Pinkett. I think that's a bridge too far. But I will say, there's also probably tons of behind-the-scenes shit going on in Hollywood that, we don't know. For all we know, maybe Chris Rock has behind the scenes been like, yo, Will Smith is a totally whipped bitch. And like that's been going on for a long time. For all we know, there's already been problems. For all we know, something happened, at the Oscars earlier that night. There's a million things that, happen in that world that we're not privy to that probably play into this as well. Let's go to Mike in Columbus. I think Mike's got a great question here. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Kevin?
Yeah, what's going on, dude?
Hey, do you think that there are any other, actors that, or presenters that you could see doing something like this? Like, I just remember when, Ricky Gervais went at DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
He said something, to the point where he was like, hey, by the time your movie was over, you had to move on from this girlfriend because she was too old already.
Right. Well, you know what? So there's two things here, Mike. Thanks for the call. It's a good point. One, people talking and making fun of each other, that's a totally different ballgame. Anybody at an award show can make fun of anybody else. That's how this shit works. You hire comedians and entertainers to do the hosting because they have comedy and they bust balls and they can do crowd work, and that's the way. It's basically like a pseudo live comedy show. Sometimes some feelings are going to get hurt. That happens. You're allowed to talk and use your mouth and words to say whatever you want, again, within reason. So that, Gervais and DiCaprio is not exactly comparable. But the question of who else could do this, who else do you think could slap someone in the face and not, no, zero, zip, zero, nada, no repercussions? It's a strange, it's not just because it was Will Smith. I keep saying this. It was an even match in the pursuit of slappiness. That's a good one if you're looking on the screen right now. I also saw someone saying, when people say my pimp hand is strong, they were calling it Will Smith's simp hand. My simp hand is strong, Jada. That is fucking funny. A lot, as many good jokes are out there, there's some bad ones, man. There are just people trying too hard. But I did see somebody photoshopped the patented Will Smith hat to the side. And I got in one little fight, and my mom got scared. I gave a golf clap to that one. I feel like Will Smith has been watching too much Bel Air, which I am happy to say I was dead wrong about Bel Air. Bel Air is a good show. It's an enjoyable show. It really has nothing to do with The Fresh Prince. It's just an entirely different type of show. It's like a drama based on the loose idea of a kid who needs to move out to L.A. Or Bel Air, excuse me. But I thought that show was going to stink, and I thought it was going to be way too dramatic and lame and not funny. It's just, if you think of it as a totally different show, Bel Air is totally enjoyable. But I feel like that dramatic, fucking intense version of Fresh Prince is what Will's been watching too much of. Who could do it? It's not just who would do the slap. It's who's the receiver. Because, again, if it's like a mismatch or if it's someone too famous and someone not famous, I do think it's a black and white thing. I do think it's a size thing. I do think it's a fame thing. I don't know. There's not many people. I would say, though, just from a slap point of view, I guess just like the other who's who of actors, could Denzel do that? Could DiCaprio do that? You know who I could see doing it? Russell Crowe, that crazy motherfucker. Remember when he was... There was a report he was throwing a telephone across a hotel lobby or some shit. He's got a little mean streak to him, and I could see him getting all offended. He's got a mean streak, and I could see him being uptight about shit. I could see him slapping somebody in the face. But again, it's got to be like the alternate, like an alter ego was on the other side, because that's kind of like Chris Rock and Will Smith are kind of like in that same world. You would almost need it to be. Here you go. If De Niro slapped Pacino or something like that. You need two guys, mega stars, both on the same level, both same age, same fame, same era, same genre. Those guys can slap each other in the face too. It really was the perfect storm. And here's what I wanted to open up the discussion a little more to. In the heat of the moment, I said, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened on live TV. And that was a prisoner of the moment because I started to think through some of the craziest shit. Our Bud Dwyer putting a gun in his mouth and blowing his head off live on television was way, way more crazy. Other things that people have pointed out to me in the discussions we've had, I was just talking to that idiot Blattman. Shout out to the Arizona Bearcats. Bear down, baby. Wildcats. there's been plenty of crazier things that have aired on live TV, but it's it's two things: the unexpectedness and the fact that it, at the end of the day, is we can make fun of it, we can talk about it, we can have fun with it. This is why it's a blogger's dream, because sometimes when crazy shit happens, but there's a death or there's a tragedy or sexual assault or something where it's like, well, now that mitigates the entertainment value in a great way. We can't really talk about this. This right here, there's no real victims. Chris Rock is a victim in the sense of like whatever. Will Smith is a victim in the sense that he's trapped in a horrible marriage, but we can have fun with this one. There are been, when we tragically saw a tower fall on 9/11, that was crazier. But we were already tuned into a news broadcast where we knew we were going to see horrible shit. This is like, this is not the point. No one tuned in to see a fight. No one tuned in to see an altercation. So it's the fact that you got that while watching a stuffy movie awards. I think that, unfortunately, the worst thing that I could think of off the top of my head, where we weren't watching something that was tragic and it turned tragic, would probably be the Challenger. Everybody tuned in to watch, this space flight, and kaboom, and we've lost a civilian, and it was like one of the worst things that's ever happened. But again, that's not, I wouldn't rush in here and do an hour on radio of that, because obviously, there's a death and it's not funny. I would say the moon landing was probably a huge event, obviously. But again, we were tuning in for that. It would be like if during the moon landing, someone slapped Neil Armstrong in the face. It was like, no, bitch, I'm gonna take the first step. Then we'd be talking. But I think as far as entertainment, people talked about Kanye interrupting Taylor. I think this blows it out of the water. Madonna kissing Britney. That was like such a quick moment, and it was kind of just like whatever, like hot entertainer chicks being hot entertainer chicks on stage, whatever. The unexpected turn of events, the names involved, the aftermath, and then finishing up with him winning best actor, to me is you cannot script a more perfect moment for a Barstool employee to run with and talk about. It is chef's kiss. Let's get back to the calls here. We got Kyle from Colorado who has an interesting question. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, what's going on? What I've been thinking about is, if you are Chris Rock, where do you go from here? Do you lean in to this, use this situation for material, or do you just shut your mouth, you don't talk about it, you say all is good, everything like that?
Kyle, I have a question for you. Are you out of your fucking mind? Do you think Chris Rock is going to just not talk about this?
So I was thinking about it. Yes, I think he'll come up with great, it's going to be awesome when he comes out with the special.
Yeah.
He'll be all over it. But do you fear further retaliation? Now, do I think he's actually scared of Will Smith? Absolutely not. But we don't know with big Hollywood. Chris Rock is so big that I don't think at this point he's going to get blackballed or anything like that.
No.
We don't know what's happening.
Sure. Okay. I can understand what you're saying I thought you were talking about are you afraid of Will Smith killing you or something?
No.
From a business point of view. From a business point of view. Yeah. No, I think
was on Will Smith's side last night, right? We're talking about Chris Rock got slapped in the face in front of Hollywood's biggest stars last night, and essentially no one did a fucking
Nobody did a thing, and that's,
Nobody
again,
did a thing.
It's the perfect matchup. It's like everybody, you know what it is? And I appreciate you calling in, Kyle. It's when you as a viewer see two guys who are above you, like that. There's a reason why Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry ran over to Will Smith during the commercial and kind of comforted him, if you will. People keep saying the word comfort. I think it's ridiculous to use for Will Smith, the one who caused the fucking scene in the first place. But they ran over to him. It's Diddy who jumps back on stage and tries to settle it down. You look at all the people who actually got involved, and they are all fucking moguls. fucking icons. Because people like me and you and all the other actors who aren't on that like $1 billion level, who aren't on that, I've been a superstar for 30 years. It's like, I'm not getting involved in this shit. Who am I to like tackle Will Smith or defend Chris Rock? Like, that's just let the alpha dogs, the alpha lions, the leaders of the pack go at it, because who am I to step in? Now, I didn't fully see what happened with Questlove. I know that he was sort of involved. I think he got on stage next to present, maybe. What happened with Questlove, Pete?
He won the award for best documentary afterwards.
Okay, so that's funny because, by the way, and you can tell me about Questlove in a second, but the fact, I feel so bad for like Jessica Chastain, who won Best Actress like a couple minutes later. Like, nobody cares, babe. Nobody was listening to any speeches. Nobody knows what happened after that. They will be forgotten forever.
I didn't realize that was her first. Like, she's been in so much.
I would have.
Like, both of them both getting their first, incredible.
I would have. Will, I can understand just because he did a lot of like blockbusters and funny movies and shit. I would have said that Jessica Chastain, this was her fourth. I would have guessed her fourth Oscar. So the fact that her first, a actress of like a generation. And but she was up there crying and heartfelt, and everyone was like, boo, talk about the slap, boo. So Questlove wins Best Documentary, and he gets up there, and did he address it or anything?
He didn't address it, but he was very rattled. I think it was an emotional movie for him to make, but also after that situation, I think he stuttered over his words a bit. And
yeah. Well, I mean, what do you do? Like,
it was terrible.
And again, that's why Chris Rock was so awesome, the fact that he was able to roll with that. And not even like stutter or stammer or lose his breath or anything. He was that, again. It's like, what is this? Some elaborate work? Because how the fuck can you keep your composure that much? You know who really stunk it up? And I thought we were gonna get something funny was Anthony Hopkins. He got up there after Will Smith's speech and was like, "What more can I say that Smith didn't just? It's about love and." Family and just really, really well said, Will. Like, what? No, I thought we were going to get a funny joke. I thought even Will Smith started laughing, like thinking he was about to get roasted a little bit. But no, that sucked too. There wasn't another. What we needed was one more comic to come out. Like when I think Samuel L. Jackson came out after that, I was hoping he was going to crack some jokes. If we had a Dave Chappelle, if we had a Bill Burr up there next, like Bill Burr could have been there. He's been in movies now. I watched him in that movie, the Dog movie with Channing Tatum. He played the asshole cop. Bill Burr could have been at the Oscars. If he was on next, that would have been great. And I really do wonder what the reaction from like the comedian crowd is. Will Smith is about to host a fucking a stand-up comedy festival this summer, right? He has that thing on Netflix where it's like 6 or 7.
Is he hosting the Netflix as a joke?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm pretty sure it's that. Or maybe it's not. I don't know if it's that, but I know that Will Smith has a festival of sorts where he is showcasing, that's the better word, showcase, with like 6 of the next, best up-and-coming comics, and yet he's out here crying about a fucking joke about his wife's haircut.
Well, then this is the video that Barstool just tweeted. He couldn't give a fuck last night.
Getting jiggy with it?
Yeah.
Yep. I read this. I didn't see it yet. Dancing with his Oscar to getting jiggy with it. Now here's the thing though. If this is somebody else, if this was a different guy, again, I'm struggling to come up with somebody who's comparable because it's so hard to do that. But if there was someone else who like slaps someone in the face, wins his Oscar, and then you see him in the club dancing and it's like, wow, he doesn't care. But knowing Will Smith, the new Will Smith, knowing that he's crying at the red table, knowing that he has these emotional bouts when he writes his book, knowing that he is uncomfortable and his public image is like a weird one, I think he does care. I think he was on the dance floor being like, I've got to dance to my song right now and enjoy this moment to prove to people that I'm totally fine. There's a difference between acting like you're fine and actually being fine. And I bet you he partied in the club and for the most part, maybe was able to say, fuck it, I won my award. But I think in the back of his head the whole time he's thinking like, fuck, what's my perception going to be? What's the PR going to be? What are my fans going to say? I would love to have been, if there really was a moment with Diddy being the moderator and there was some sort of apology moment, because it's bullshit that Will Smith went up there and apologized to everybody but the guy you slapped in the face. He could have even said, fuck you for what you said to my wife, but my actions were out of line, so I apologize. Like, take the high road there. I really would love to know if that was a genuine conversation, if it was just like, we're two guys who came up together and we dominated things together. Like, let's just say fuck it. Let's just be, let's squash it and be boys. Or if it was like, we'll end this because, I don't want to carry this further because I'm an adult on Chris Rock's behalf. So there's, two very different sides to it. Let me get to two more. Oh, my thing just disconnected. Let me get to these two calls. We'll wrap up because those guys have been on hold for a while now. Can you put one on? Who do we got? Who is that? What's their name?
We got Danny from Jersey.
Danny, what's up, Danny?
Hey, what's up, KFC?
What do we got, bro?
Listen, bro, I'm starting a Zoom in this minute. Like, they're waiting on my thing right now. But I just want to get two things off clearly. I think that you would agree with. One, this was pure lunacy on Will Smith's behalf.
Mm-hmm. Can't do it. Can't behave this way.
Why didn't Jada get up and smack Chris Rock? What's going on there?
Well, because fucking Jada is the puppet master, and she's like, go do my bidding, bitch boy. That's how.
I agree. I'm just gonna leave with this closing statement. Chris Rock chose to marry a woman who bangs 21-year-old rappers. That was his choice.
You mean Will Smith?
And
Will Smith did that.
Wasn't the Monday Night Raw, right? We weren't watching Hulk Hogan.
Right. No, I mean there's a time and a place, and that's certainly not it.
At a Barstool event, right? If Portnoy was giving a speech, and all of a sudden he made a joke about you, and you got up in the middle of it and smacked Portnoy in the face, how does everyone react?
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
all-time moment.
So good, bro.
No, but I mean,
long-time fan. I love you guys. I gotta hang up because people are waiting on my thing.
All right, go get to it. God, I love the stoolies. Like, I'll make my entire company wait for this, but I gotta get these thoughts off on Will Smith. I mean, yeah. Listen, if there are certainly less fancy events where you could have argued that it would be more acceptable to smack someone in the face. And it doesn't even happen there. If it happened at a Barstool event, it would be a big deal. We're talking about the fucking Academy Awards, man. It is wild, and I love it. And I know it feels like a little bit like, oh, this is like Barstool TMZ, and you're just like gossiping about Hollywood. It's like, no, fuck that, man. When two of the greatest to ever do it, one of I think the funniest comedy specials of all time belong to Chris Rock, one of the all-time greats, if not the best, and the guy who defined a generation and a childhood and defined the word cool and has the biggest blockbusters ever. When those guys get into it over comedy and jokes and slapping, and then you mix in an open marriage with a woman who fucked Tupac, who bangs her son's kids, friends, and I mean, that is a Mad Libs of blogging material. And so I almost have to thank Chris Rock, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Jaden Smith, the fucking guy who she banged, Diddy, Denzel, everybody involved in this, the Academy for giving him the award, everybody for making this possible. Because this is I would rank this as a, I don't know, fucking top 5 moment of material when it comes to blogging. And overall, I would say, shout out to Kirk Minahan, he said it best too, the second best slap behind David and Irene in Real World Seattle. You got to be an older one to know that one. Opens up the car door, pops her in the face, an all-time hit. When anybody on MTV would fight each other in the challenge, CT and those guys, that's a big one. And then, yeah, the tragedies that we caught on live camera. But as far as unexpected, holy shit, did that just happen moments, especially with social media and whatnot being in play, I think you got to give it to Will Smith and Chris Rock for the craziest, most unexpected moment we've ever seen on live television during the social media era. So I'm going to leave you with that. I appreciate everybody who called in. We're going to be talking about it on the Rundown today. Be on the lookout later tonight. It's an old school rundown with me, Dan, and Dave. We're going to get Feidelberg's thoughts on KFC Radio for sure. We do have Judd Apatow on the show today. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm going to be forced to ask him about his tweets where he said that he could he could have killed him. We're going to have to talk about that. So a lot more to come from the slap. And if Lights Camera Barstool is not having a field day right now with the slap edits and jokes, they're crazy. So go check them out as well, because this is as entertaining as Hollywood can get. I will catch you mutts later today, and we'll see you on Wednesday, of course, for another live episode of The Kevin Clancy Show.